You know, we have a lot of expressions in the English language.
I don't even know what I'm saying.
What are we talking about?
Where'd that come from?
Most all of us use them every day.
I don't even know what that means.
No one knows what it means.
You know, we just say them as if they really made sense.
I mean, how silly is that?
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
What the f is he talking about?
Yo, what's good, everybody? You know who it is, you know what it is. Welcome to the Appraise, the phrase show, origins of everyday expressions. It's me, Mario. I am here today. Where is here? Don't even matter because we are digital to you, but we're real in real life. I got my guy in real life, 20 in the building. What's good, 20? How you feel, bro?
Oh, what's good, man? Everything's good, bro. I'm out here living life.
Oh, you know what you're doing lately?
What am I doing?
And by lately, I mean randomly. Like you could have done it once, and if a person say lately on it, and make the other person feel like. But you've been doing the things that you like ironically hate when people do, like woke up this morning, brother.
Day above ground, my man. Day above ground is a great day. Yes. You know what? I feel like I'm trolling. I feel like I'm trolling it more because it's like I want people to say this thing is ridiculous, bro.
Yes,
like I want to say like there's no way, bro. But yeah,
every single time.
I have 24 hours to do it, and I'm ready.
brother.
Huh? Hey, listen, man. You know.
All right, man. Look, let's get into today's episode. Welcome, y'all. I'm happy today. I got one of my favorite Detroit Fitteds on because guess who's Bazak? If we had the rights, I would press the button and then Jay-Z and Scarface will come on. Guess who's That's one of my favorite beats too, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so hold on, wait. Oh, the crowd getting crazy early. They wasn't know. Oh shit, here they go.
Jay-Z or was it who?
What they yelling for? Hold on.
Jay-Z in the house?
Let me sit down. Hey, for y'all that cannot see, for the audio podcast listeners, we got Mikki Boom in the building, family, of course, designer extraordinaire, organizer extraordinaire.
That was
Extraordinary.
And if you haven't met her, you know of her. Like I'm willing to go out on that limb. So just shout out to you and all the great things you do for your people, the people. Mick, hold on, wait. Oh, yep. We couldn't hold him down. We couldn't hold him down that long, man. The security in the studio audience is like fighting for their life. I wish you could see them. I know. How you feeling, Mick?
I am swell, darling. I'm smooth. I got a bit of the sniffle, so if I sound a little, out of the weather, it's that season, but I'm good. Thank you.
It's okay.
Happy to be back.
Hey, you know what? You're the first person that's ever worn shades on the show. I'm not mad.
Oh,
No. Keep them on. Yeah, please. Because I'm actually now inviting 20 to do that because my dog, like no bull, outside of this show and occasionally when I'm out there and we're kicking it, maybe a restaurant, he wears shades like better and more often than anybody I've ever known. Huh?
You froze up.
You froze.
I did? Oh, I'm not
did.
frozen. I'm not frozen on the thing, but here we go. We'll do it like this. Look, let's do it like this. Because remember, my camera is here.
I was just about to say, yes, you are. Your camera is
Yeah,
there.
so I appreciate the protection. That's looking out. That's somebody that says like you got a booger. That's friendship.
Oh, I'm the booger girl for sure.
You would tell somebody?
Every time.
How you say it? How you say it?
You got a booger in your nose. I'm grown. You got a booger. Yeah.
Go and get that.
Honestly, like I've never felt uncomfortable when somebody said that too. How you just said that, Mick? I don't know what it was. Like, I thought you was gonna put a little bit of nah. You know what?
Yeah, like a little shit, like a little sprinkle of sugar on the rim. Can you put sugar on half the rim?
No. No, because when you do this, like you're like, oh, you get like people are like, what? And they get
They
weird.
do
It's
this
like,
weird
no,
thing where
you
like,
have a
what are
booger.
your options? What are your options of what I could be talking about? Is it an alien?
Exactly.
Is it a battleship?
So weird. And they touch everything but the you got a booger right nostril.
Right now, sure.
Right at the top.
I'll text you the coordinates.
The hanger.
That's so
Yeah.
The
funny.
hanger thwack.
That's so funny.
Word. Hey, okay. We've done the thing. We've done the thing similar to Angela Bassett. So I'm gonna roll the phrase out. Oh, let me get the thing because we have awesome graphics. We're here to do three things on the Appraise the Phrase show. We're here to unveil the origin, confirm the meaning, and assess the value of common everyday phrases. And the phrase that's common and everyday for today is one that has struck a chord with me for a while. I put it in my pocket. I'm pulling it out, and that's why we got Mick here. Me and 20 talk about it pretty often. We brought it up with Mick. Yeah, bruh.
I'm so surprised we haven't done this already.
Don't be surprised because it's been by design, and it's time to appraise because I've been holding it. And I think we're ready because we're not big enough, but we just big enough to do. Don't judge a book by its cover. You know what I wish I had a button that I had loaded up was the crowd going, ooh.
You got it.
Plug in.
Yeah,
Load it up.
yeah. I think that's the next one. That's the next one. Because really, I got this one for no reason. Hold on, wait. Let me look at the thing. I got this one for no reason, y'all. Like, why do I have that?
Because why not?
Because at one point I had
What's
a plan. I had a plan, and I'm not going to reveal that plan in case it works out. But that's loaded up, y'all.
Bro, this dude is so cryptic, bro.
I know. I'm a Scorpio man.
He's so cryptic, bro.
I'm a Scorpio man. So the crypticity.
So
The crypticity
judging a
level.
book by its cover.
You are judging a book by its cover. So let's talk about that. Let's have some opinions on that. I have an opinion on don't judge a book by its cover. So my take is don't judge a book by its cover, ? I think it's a question. For me, I'm questioning it. Don't judge a book by its cover. Well, why not? I'll give you a chance, 20. Why not? And here's the reason why I pose it that way is because the cover of the book was intentional from somebody. Somebody made the cover of the book. Somebody thought it through. And in some ways, that person wants you to judge the book by that part of it, the cover of it. And so I'm like, I have to take that in because that's part of the design. So why am I taking it as a value? Because these phrases, are common because they're like values in a sense, like they've made it. I'm like, why is that a value? I kind of want to judge it by its cover. And so that's my feeling on that. Oh, nope.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Yep. Yeah, Mick wasn't ready. 20, your opinion. Your opinion on don't judge
Nobody's ready for FG. No, you know what?
FG.
Honestly, that's my boy FG. No, I don't think nobody's ready for him. But you know what, Mario? I sometimes believe it. I sometimes agree with it. And then there's sometimes where it's like, I feel like this is one of those ones that we're missing a couple of words. Because I feel like if it was like, don't judge the whole book by its cover, then I feel like, yeah, I can get you that. I can give you that. Because like, even though you see the cover and it's about the book, it doesn't give you the whole story about the book.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like it gives you a fragment. It gives you a picture of the book. You get what I'm saying? Like as in a picture of what the book is about. But I don't think it kind of gives you the totality of the book. So maybe if you change a couple of things around, I can see where you're going with that one, Mario. But it's like in just like a general basis of just the actual phrase, it's missing a lot of things for it to be sure. Hey, this is how it goes.
This is how it goes.
This is the truth. This is not an opinion. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's missing a couple of things for me personally. That's why I'm like, I really want to see how this one unfolds because like if we find out that hey, there's a second half to this that we never really that got dropped off You know what
Somewhere
I'm saying?
along the line.
Down,
Yeah.
you feel me? Like then that can kind of change I'm open to how I feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I feel like yeah, I don't think you can judge a book by its cover in totality.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you can
That's
get
all
an
I have to say
idea.
about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's all
you can
got.
get an idea about it, but then
Yeah.
yeah, you can't. I don't think you can judge it totally.
Got it. Mick, your opinion on it?
All right. So, as a person who has actually designed some book covers,
Aha! Aha!
aha.
I used it, y'all.
Thank you for the kitty bell. As a person who has designed book covers, it's hard because it's like if you take it in the literal sense, then yes, you absolutely should, because the book is intentionally for that. But if we're talking about individuals, if we, delve into, people and, circumstances, then that's when it gets a little hazy. So I roll with the phrase to a certain extent, because I feel like everybody does at the end of the day. Everybody may say, "Oh, I don't judge," and you do. Even Ray Charles was grabbing, shorties by the wrist, like, "Hey, like, let me feel your vibe." You know what I'm saying? Like,
the coldest scenes of Ray that I was like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, but they did the much. They did the much under him grabbing the wrist.
he was feeling vibes. So, because he was trying to judge, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was blind, but he was still judging. Everybody judges. At the end of the day, you do. So, don't do it, but everybody does it. So that's my thing. So yeah, I roll with the phrase.
That's all I have to say about that.
Heard you. So wait. So okay, good. I wanted y'all gave me two, one yes, yeah, 2, 1 and 2, 20. Mick, yes, agreed and tracking, and. Duh, like the cover's not meant for that. I'm almost like, why are you telling me that? I feel like I'm Myron. I'm ascending into Myronisms where I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't, because the cover of the book is not intended to tell me the whole story of the book, nigga. Like, it's intended for me to judge the cover of it. So yeah, I'm not judging the book by the cover. I'm judging the cover. You idiot. Whoever said it, that's how I feel.
But okay, so the cover, you ever looked at something and was like, you know what? I can't. I like even, because you didn't like the cover. So, but it could have been, that's the bullshit that it gives you, because it makes you live in coulda, shoulda, wouldas. You get what I'm saying? If you're a person that doesn't live like that, then this saying has no effect on you at all. Ooh. Because you're going to pass by so many things that could be good for you, but you don't care because you're on the path. You feel like whatever comes to you is the reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's what you should have. So it's like, it's one of those things where if you're not that type of person that believes in like, oh man, I should have did this, or if I would have done this would have been. Or you one of those people that just go with the flow, then telling somebody, don't judge a book by its cover is like, for what?
Yeah, exactly. I'm with that. Let's explore into that, because you got a little bit into impact. So let's see. So let's get into the meaning of don't judge a book by its cover. So again, I'm going to explain it. Episode 4, sorry. Where we have two meanings, two definitions. Last season, Merriam, the brand's dictionary meaning was the only one we went with. It started to get a little hazy, like we got to go with this. So I started to research more. Dictionary.com has risen up. So we do, I try to get at least multiple definitions. Merriam-Webster had nothing to say. That's why it's a brand. Merriam-Webster had nothing to say. So their dictionary is not gospel. Dictionary.com, though, has a meaning for don't judge a book by its cover, and they say it means to don't judge the value of a thing simply by its appearance. So, boom, there we go. Now, I did find another meaning from a source that is considered credible, Britannica. Do y'all remember Encyclopedia Britannica commercials? When they used to try to sell you the whole set?
The whole thing,
A through Z, or you could buy them by letter. So they're still doing it. They're online. And so Britannica has dual meanings, 2 different meanings. They have, you shouldn't judge someone or something based only on what you see on the outside or only what you perceive without knowing the full situation. And B, It means that the outward appearance of something is not an indication of its value or worth. Okay. With that said, with those two definitions, which one resonates more, and what stands out of the two definitions? So, 20, what's up?
What stands out with me is that I need to know how the hell they got booked. You get what I'm saying? Because because both of those definitions is talking about people. From what I'm hearing, so it's like a person judging a person by, it lightens it up when you're talking about book, because when it comes to people, you have to always be in the sense of, figuring out, is this the right person to be around, or does this person, it looks like this person is about to do some harm to me. You get what I'm saying? Like you have to be able to assess the situation. And yeah, I feel them on some moral, be a good person. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that's what it's kind of going as, like be a good person or morally give people a chance and stuff like that. Sounds like a victim said that. Like from no definitions, it sounds like somebody in a state of being prosecuted or watching prosecution. You get what I'm saying? Like it's like that's what that sounds like it came from. It doesn't sound like somebody that's a 1%er would say, or that doesn't sound like something that a boss would say.
Okay. Okay, actually, I'm with that. I'm only going to, in a small way, support that, strengthen that. Is that the unique bosses that are deemed cool are the ones that say, like, man, I'm hired. Like DEI, the first folks that pulled DEI into the mainframe were considered cool because upward to downward, it feels like it's not a presence. All right, Mick, where you at with the definitions, the difference between the two, and or what stands out?
Like 20 said, just like the whole outside appearance thing, like there was just a whole battle about bonnets on Twitter, like about how this dentist office didn't want folks coming in there with bonnets and pajamas and whatever the hell. And it was just like, because y'all are judging these people. But at the end of the day, what do they need? They teeth fixed. So, and that's why it gets a little, like you said, like a little lighter when you're coming into other things, because when you're talking about people, at the end of the day, people are going to judge. Like people just do it. It's natural. It's a natural thing. It's unfortunate. I don't think that you should. And I feel like that, like the fact that the dictionary is like, you shouldn't, like it's the very core of the phrase is just don't do this. But it's a rule that's being applied in so many different situations, because like as a woman, if I look at an Uber driver and they face and they look a little sketchy, I cancel. I ain't gonna hold y'all.
I'm gonna have to judge this book. I'm gonna have to judge the book.
Giving horror. It's giving horror.
It's giving horror, and I don't read horror. I thought it was in the whatchamacallit section.
I was looking for something a little more rom-com, a little more comedy, but no, you're giving horror. I'm canceling and I'm gonna get another one. So you at the end of the day, like, you shouldn't, but sometimes you kind of have to. So, yeah.
I like it. I like where we're standing. Hold those thoughts on the meanings, and let's dive into the origin.
Where'd that come from?
Okay, so don't judge a book by its cover originated in the 1860 novel, The Mill. Oh, The Mill on the Floss. That was by George Eliot. And in this novel, the character Mr. Tulliver uses the phrase when discussing Daniel Defoe's The History of the Devil and saying how it was beautifully bound. So real quick, though, there's one character in The Mill on the Floss who is described as an auctioneer and appraiser. So, good book. That's how I'm going to judge the book. That there's a nigga in there that's called an appraiser, and it's not a word that's used a lot. So I like that. So let's jump into this novel real quick. So in the 1860 novel, The Mill and the Floss, the passage where it's referred to goes as follows. Mr. Tulliver saying, The History of the Devil by Daniel Defoe, not quite the right book for a little girl, said Mr. Riley. How come it's amongst your books, Tulliver? And Maggie Tulliver, Mr. Tulliver's daughter, looked hurt and discouraged while her father said, why, it's one of the books I bought at Partridge's sale. They were all bound alike. It's all a good binding, you see, and I thought they'd all be good books. And there's Jeremy Taylor's Holy Living and Dying among them. I read it often on a Sunday. And with that great writer, because his name was Jeremy, and there was a lot more of them, sermons mostly, I think, but they've all got the same covers, and I thought they were all one of the same sample. As you may say, but it seems one mustn't judge by its outside. This is a puzzling world.
That sounds right.
Mm-hmm. So that's how it was referenced. Literally. So it took me aback a little bit because I'm like, cover, how the cover looks, how it's designed. Mr. Tulliver, on his daughter's behalf, is explaining, no, it's actually made well. It's a well-made book on the outside, like the other well-made books. So I got it for her because it was with the other books that were well-made. You know what I'm saying? So I figured it was good. But I do want to note, and I won't lead too much, but it doesn't mean the book is bad. It just means that it isn't an appropriate book, quote unquote, for a little girl like the others are. So, you know what I mean? So it's like the judgment in this sense is not even good or bad. Just, is this for her or not? Is this appropriate for her or not? Where y'all at with that? Mick?
So yeah, that changes everything. Because now we're talking about construction. Now we're talking about, how something's made, the durability of it and all this other stuff. And that's the thing, like with these idioms in general, like when you go from inanimate objects to using these idioms to describe people, there's a lot of gray area in the middle there. And at the end of the day, like, yeah, you can't judge, okay, you can't judge this by what it looks like because it may be stronger than it looks like. And, you can sort of kind of apply that to people. But like I said, like every situation is different. So, it kind of changes it for me though. Like I didn't know that was what it was about. I really just thought it was about appearance. Like as far as like this, like it's something being pretty or not,
Yes.
not necessarily like construction or, how heavy duty or whatever it is. So
yeah.
That's
I fuck with that. Right. 20, where you at with it?
It turns it to a great opinion instead of a good fact. You get what I'm saying? Like it's like if you look at it as just a suggestion. Come on now. I'm gonna have to write that down.
You're gonna have to write that down, man.
Hey, come on. I do this.
Exactly.
But no, man, like if you look at that phrase as a suggestion or an opinion, like it's phenomenal. It's really great. It's one of the best because it gives you either way. Like either way, it's one of those things that you've dealt with where it was wrong and you dealt with it where it was right. And it's anything like that, bro, it's better than being on one side. Especially when it comes to a phrase. Especially when it comes to the phrase, it'll last longer because the debate makes it last longer.
Okay, I got to stop you there. As a facilitator of the conversation, I got to stop you there because you're going somewhere that I like. And it's like, let me get through this episode because yes, I see the trend and I'm picking up on the trend.
Hey, listen, man. Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
Because I told you when we talked about this, bro, like this one right here is something that it's one of those ones, man. It's one of those ones, man.
Exactly. Great idea. No, listen, let's keep going so we can get. I need more opinions. So let's get this out because this book, the book that it comes from, is referencing this, and it explains "Don't judge a book by its cover" and how it was referenced. And the actual story of the book that references it has some elements. So let me just get this out and then we'll talk. So I'm just going to explain briefly the story of the Mill on the Floss. So Maggie Tulliver is the protagonist in the story, and it begins when she's 9 years old. And her relationship with her older brother, Tom, and a romantic relationship with Philip Wycombe. And he's a hunchbacked, sensitive, intellectual friend. And her relationship with Stephen Guest, who's a vivacious young socialite, broad shoulders type. and he's actually Maggie's cousin's fiance. Maggie's cousin's name is Lucy. So this constitutes like the narrative. This is the narrative of the story. So Maggie and Tom's dad had a rough relationship with Philip Wakem's father, which when the family went bankrupt, caused him to lose this mill from the title. And then because of all this turbulence and the friction and like how stressful this was, Mr. Tulliver passed away. So the tragedy brought Maggie and Tom closer. So like Tom started to feel like he needed to take care of the family. So Tom left school, dedicated his life to the family biz, to pay his pop's debts and to like honor his pops. And then he eventually found some success and was able to at least get the family's estate back. So the house, land, all this stuff still working. So meanwhile, while he's doing this, Maggie is living in the house and she feels like she's wasting away in this house. She feels broke and poor. She feels like she's too smart for the life she's living. So she ends up, one of the books that her pops got her was The Imitation of Christ. And so she's like, since I'm stuck in this house and I can't experience life, I'm going to renounce the world like Christ did. Like I don't need worldly things. But then amongst her like little tales, she became friends with Mr. Wakeham's son, Phil. And that vow was tested. Like, oh, you giving up the world? Here comes a hunchback and sensitive man to be your friend. Do you still want to give up the world? So when this is happening, they become really, really close. And Tom and Mr. Tulliver, when he was alive, they didn't like the Wakems. Like they're obviously, like I said, they had a rough relationship, so they don't like it. So Tom is like, I don't like this at all. You cannot hang with this dude, this hunchback dude. So Maggie starts meeting with Philip in secret, and they get real close. And then the relationship is basically based on Maggie's like heartfelt pity for the broken and rejected human, right? And she gets connected with this broken and rejected human, and it serves as her like way of having a romantic relationship in the world that she kind of like threw away. So they start to build an attraction, and Phil was like, yo, spitting game. So Maggie's like, okay, I love you. Like, forget this. I love you. So Tom finds out, because now he's not only a big brother, but he's a protector of the family. And he's like, not going to happen. So it's like, you either swear off this dude or I'm going to get real mad. Okay. So, yep. So he forces her to do that. And she's like, damn it. So she goes out. She gets with her cousin, Lucy. Well, Lucy hears about this, her cousin, and invites Maggie to come stay with her for a little bit and experience some of the world, like some of the good world. So she meets Steven, who is Lucy's fiance. So this Steven obviously is a guy that gets whatever he wants. So as they're getting together, there's a complication at the compound. And they live in a compound. So there's a complication, and they're supposed to go on a trip, and Philip's supposed to go, but he gets sick because he's weak and feeble. And so Steven is like, all right, I'll take you, Maggie, to go on this trip. Long story short, man, Steven is like, games her up. And now she's like, oh, I can't have Philip, but like this Steven guy likes me. And I like, you know what I'm saying? So now we're in this weird, like little love triangle. She's like, well, at least I can get something. You know what I'm saying? So they're floating down this river. They're by boat because it's old days. So they're going by boat. And they don't realize how far they've gotten. So Steven's like, man, I don't know where we at. We might as well get married, you know what I'm saying, and like live our life out here in this city called Mudport. So he games her up. They get married. And then, because it says Maggie is too tired to argue with him about it. So Steven's like, yeah, I already have one fiance. Let me get two. And so...
Oh, for real?
Yeah, so Maggie's like, damn, I shouldn't have agreed. I'm starting to remember Phil. And eventually Maggie is like, I can't do this. Take me back. Let's go back to it. And I want to find Phil. So as they're going back, he like gets sick of her basically, and like gets her, like boots her off the boat, you know, essentially. And so she's an outcast in this city in Holland. And she immediately, like, she finds her way back. She explains to the town people, but she's like meeting all types of people, and she's deemed the outcast. So now she's experiencing people either judging her or not judging her based on being different. So she eventually gets people to get her back home. And she's like, Tom, forgive me. I need help. Forgive me. I got lost. And he was like, okay, bet. Actually, no. First, he was like, I don't rock with you. Get out of here. And so she's like, oh, no. So she goes back to Lucy and Philip. And Lucy, not knowing where Steven is, because Steven doesn't make it back. And Philip, they like forgive her. and they're like, okay, we're bonded, and so they're close. And all Maggie has left is to get back in good standing with her brother. So to go do that, they help try to find Steven. So Tom and Maggie try to help find Steven on a boat. And as they're trying to make this thing happen because Lucy's their cousin, they realize that they miss each other, and then the boat capsizes, and and the two are drowning, and they come back together drowning, and it actually perked up and created another phrase that is not super popular, but I have heard it. In their death, they were not divided. Actually, comes from this story. So that is the story of the meal and the floss. It's like these different layers of I'm
wondering that. So wait, they died.
They died in the river. They didn't find Steven, and at least they died forgiving one. Well, Tom forgave his sister, and they were close. And even in death, they were not divided. How do you feel? How do you feel about Don't Judge a Book by its cover?
Sad. Wait. First of all, let me take the shades off because
yeah. So let me build on this a little bit. So this is what I'm taking is that the Tullivers judge the Wakems. They don't like the Wakems. I don't know if Philip's dad has any issues, but Philip is ugly, basically. Like, that's what they want us to believe. Okay. Hunchback, since he's and then you got Steven and he's a good person. Then you got Steven who looks the part, already engaged, one moment by himself with Maggie, and he like, man, let's get married. And she says yes, but then when she stands up for it, you know what I'm saying? He's like, man, forget you. And he kicks her out, and then he tries to make it back, never makes it. And then then she's in another situation where she's the outcast, and it works in her favor that time because these folks in the town that she was in didn't judge her negatively, and they helped her find her brother, who again judged her negatively. So where y'all at?
Bro, if you would have told me I had to read this book to get one of the most quotable quotes ever, I probably would have said nah.
You don't like this story?
Dude.
What?
What?
How did the cover of this book look? What?
Yeah. That's what we need to know. Who's the cover of this book, and how does it look like? What does it look like? Seriously, dog.
The cover, is this the Hunchback of Notre Dame?
No, is this? Yeah, right.
Is Shorty Esmeralda? What's going on here?
Now I gotta really look into that part.
I need to know what the cover is.
Bro, that's the whole time. That's what I'm thinking. Is this Negro saying the Hunchback of Notre Dame like this? It's been that long since I watched this movie.
Oh yeah, so he's ugly, but he's a good person.
But he's a good person. He deserves what he. But life made old girl live this other life,
and now she's living no life.
Now she's dead.
And the judgment was the Hunchback, right? That's what I'm saying.
The original judgment was against Philip and the family. Yes, that was the original judgment of the book, of the cover of the book.
So I guess.
So the original message is don't judge it, because look what spiraled into this. Look what it spiraled into.
It had to be because it says what's 1800?
1860.
It had to inspire. That just sounds too much like the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
All right, we'll figure that out. I'm actually gonna Google it. Real quick, and then we'll get back on.
Because that's pretty much what the Hunchback of Notre Dame was saying too, as well.
Yeah. But still something real quick.
If I am going back into the archives, I feel like I've seen Hunchback of Notre Dame, the Disney version, and that's exactly what it was trying to say about the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Wait. Hunchback of Notre Dame. The novel was written in.
Or did we judge this Negro by the?
It was published in 1831, man. It was published in 1831, so around the same time.
So they probably was rivaling.
Yeah, the story. Niggas was trying to get this story out.
A lot of Hunchbacks around.
Yeah,
at the
like, what's
time?
good?
Somebody had back problems.
I'm talking
Oh,
about
healthcare
healthcare was
like
bad.
medicine and like all that's like
Healthcare was
by the
bad.
1800s, they was out here pregnancy.
Everybody just
I was
crazy.
Yes. Hey, all right, let's get to this next part. So remember, so I said the phrase was brought and originated by this 1860 novel, The Mill on the Floss by George Eliot. We just found out that The Hunchback of Notre Dame, they have similar concepts. That was published, in 1831, but it didn't actually popularize this phrase that was hinted at and said in this book until 1946, when it appeared in the murder mystery, Murder in the Glass Room. And that was written by Lester Fuller, not so much, and Edwin Rolfe. And it said you can never tell a book by its cover is what they said in this book. So let's talk about Edwin Rolfe for a second and why it's important to know him and how this would have made it popular. This book that he wrote in collaboration with Lester Fuller, but Lester Fuller is boring and I don't trust him. But Edwin Rolfe, I do. Mario, why do you trust Edwin Rolfe? Well, he was an American poet and journalist, and his poetry was inseparable from historical events. So he wrote in response to the Great Depression, familiar, the Spanish Civil War, and the era of McCarthyism. Now, y'all can Google the era of McCarthyism. I didn't. I'm so sorry. I'm actually currently interested in this moment. So I should have, but I didn't. But he was actually born Solomon Fishman in Philly in 1909. And his parents were immigrants from Russia. And they got married the year before and met through a marriage broker because that's what Russians do. But the more important part was both his parents were politically active. His mother was involved in the suffrage and birth control movements, and his father was a labor organizer and a union officer. So these people stood on it. And so that's where Solomon Fishman, later known as Edwin Rolfe, got his grounding, his base. So Rolfe got married in 1936, and him and his wife went to Spain in 1937. And that's where he served in the Spanish Civil War with the Abraham Lincoln Brigade as a commissar. So he took part in the Battle of Ebro and some other stuff. He was a volunteer for the International Brigades. And he wrote for the Liberty newspaper during this time. So he's in the mix. He's in the mix of struggle. And while I was reading this, I'm like, is this nigga going to be on the right side of a civil war or the wrong side of a civil war? Because you can never tell. You can never tell with these ones. Because if I was to judge the book by its cover, I'm going with the wrong side every time. So every time. So actually, Rolfe met Ernest Hemingway when they were both in Spain. And according to the Jacket magazine, shout out to the Jacket magazine, their friendship and correspondence lasted the rest of their life. So he was tight with Ernest Hemingway. I don't know why I keep adding an S on black, cause black. And so like when we're talking about popularizing a phrase, okay, Rolfe is having a reputation. He's also in the mix of some historical events. So once he finished up his time in Spain, he was enlisted in the U.S. Army in 1943. And after the war, he returned to work as a writer, and he co-wrote this book, Murder in the Glass Room. And then he was commissioned to write the history of American volunteers during the Spanish Civil War, since he was up in it. He went to Hollywood to develop the script, and Jacket Magazine, shout out to Jacket Magazine, wrote that he was blacklisted in Hollywood as he was on the House Un-American Activity Committee's investigation into communists in Hollywood list. So this man was so about it, and so for the people that even though he was a great writer and highly respected, he couldn't get his Hollywood career off the ground because Hollywood was like, this nigga's a communist. And, you know, typically they name communists, anybody that's like working against the right thing, a communist, to discredit him. So that's how it got popularized, because it was written by one of the most supported and heralded civil war writers of his time, and connected to Ernest Hemingway. So with this guy, Edwin Rolfe, is about it, and it will make sense. And it's kind of, I don't know if it's by design or not, that a guy who stands for people who are, like you said at the top of the show, 20, are the getting persecuted and are the oppressed, says, don't judge a book by its cover. You should never do that. Where y'all at with it, 20?
I think I'm still on that. I'm gonna stand on what I said earlier, man, because I feel like I said, there's times where you do it and it's right and you made the right judgment, and there's times where you do it when it's wrong. You get what I'm saying? So it's like I don't think this is going to be a one that's going to change the concept of it. You get what I'm saying? The more we dug into it, it's just a situation of what is your gut telling you right now? You get what I'm saying? Like what is the universe telling you right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and it's everything gonna have its consequence when you judge it. Like, and it's not speaking in bad terms. You get what I mean? Like, I'm not speaking in a good term, or you made the right decision or the wrong decision. You get what I'm saying? Like, when I say consequences, it's not good consequences or bad consequences, just the reaction of an action.
Natural consequence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, okay. Hold on, Popeye. Somebody ate their goddamn spinach. Cause you coming with, I mean, you're typically, right? That's why you're a host. But yeah, today. Anyways, Mick, how you feel about Edwin Rolfe and him popularizing this phrase?
Yeah, I basically agree with 20. Like, it's pretty much just gonna be the same idea. And yeah, like, it's about, at the end of the day, about trusting your intuition. I would rather be wrong later than, wrong up front. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather like trust myself and be like, you know what, I don't know about this, and be wrong later. Like, oh, okay, maybe I was wrong about you. Maybe I was, and I mean, from my own personal experience, I haven't been wrong this yet. Like, with people, I've tried to give people a chance after I judge them.
Did you give them the benefit of the doubt or something?
Hello,
stupid
right?
Ass phrase. Okay, go
why
ahead.
Would we do that?
Why the hell? Thank you.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, every time I've ever given anybody the benefit of the doubt, it was no benefit. So I'm probably gonna be judged by your cover, dog. If your cover a little
further notice, my nigga.
If some edges are ragged, I don't know. I don't think I want to read that book. And like I said, that's why I need to know what this book looked like, because I would be so pissed if I read that book and then it's like, so these motherfuckers died
at the end, like you, like that was your stamp. That was your stamp to say, don't do the book. Like, you set the book up to talk about little young Maggie, dad talking to the Mr. Riley and saying like, no, the book, I got this book for my 9-year-old because blah blah bound. Like, okay, they about to give us a nice little moral lesson, and the lesson is death amongst you. Kind of crazy, dog. To me,
you gonna die if you're a nice person.
If you're not, yeah, like if you. All right, look, y'all. Let's get into it. Let's get into the grading. Let's appraise this phrase. We got the power. We got our A through F grading scale, 3-part categories. Power grade, does it have impact when it's said or heard? Does it get the point across? Speed, is it smooth, easy to say, flow off the tongue? And then guest preference. So Mick is gonna give us her all around thoughts with everything included. And graded that way. 20, power. What do you think about the impact of this phrase?
Oh, I mean, I think it's an A, definitely an A. I want to go A plus, just because of the both sides of the fence that it's playing.
Mm-hmm. You
get what I'm saying? But I would definitely give it an A because it is definitely powerful. It's lasted from the 1800s. You know how I feel. Like, if it's past the night, if it's before the 19s, then there's got to be something about it. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And actually, I enjoyed I feel like you said it earlier. You said the quote differently earlier.
Let me see.
I can't remember the right words that you said it, but like, I felt like
you can never tell a book by its cover.
Yeah. I feel like that was more of a true statement than.
Oh, you're right. Damn. Okay, that slipped by me in that way.
So,
Edwin Rolfe, dog. I'm trying to tell you, Edwin Rolfe actually the key here.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. Like, that takes it more of a fact, but now it's more of like one of the most powerful suggestions you can ever give.
Got it.
So yeah, I give it an A.
All right, I'm gonna go with speed. Don't judge a book by its cover. Too smooth, too cold, to the point where I myself and my quirkiness had to throw a question mark on it, because I'm like, I said it, first, it's similar to Benefit of the Doubt, where it was like it had a hold on me, and I had to rip that like James Brown, because I'm like, this is not what I want right now. Like, y'all want me off the stage, and I don't want to be off the stage with this phrase right now because, don't judge a book by its cover. Sometimes I have to. Actually, I'm not judging the book by its cover. I'm judging how the book looks to let me know if I want to read the book. I'm not saying I wouldn't see the cover and be like, oh, this is a bad book. I've literally never actually done that shit. I've never said the cover look whack. That book must be whack. I just said, I don't like the cover. I'm going to keep moving. That's it. You are muted, 20. I don't know how you got muted.
I don't know how I got muted here. What if it's a boring ass cover?
You brought this up off air, and I'll bring this up after I grade it. I'm giving it an A+. We're actually going to I'm going to hold it. I won't forget. Mick, let's get your grade before we go. I want to bring one more piece, and I want you to be able to get your flow off before that.
I'm going to say A2. Yeah, like it's a pretty good overall idea. Like I said, most people are going to do it anyway, but I do like the concept behind it. Like, you shouldn't. Hey. We do, but you shouldn't.
I like that. You shouldn't, but we do. Now, 20, you just said something that reminded me of something you said off air. What if it's a plain or boring or non-captivating cover image? Well, first, we learned today that the actual phrase is not talking about strictly appearance, but how a thing is built. 2, because the cover was the bounding, but you said off air a while ago that the Bible is one example where you definitely should not judge a book by its cover, because you will not understand what's in that book based on the cover of this book unless you go to that one shop that got that fish logo, because they got a bunch of different Bibles that look cool. Just Giuseppe, what is it called? What's it called?
What?
Agape. No, is it Agape? Agape Books? Y'all never been there? I'm a pastor's kid. So there were stores. Okay. There were stores called Agape Books, where nothing in the store. There's nothing in the store except biblical books and writing and like little keychains, and it's like Borders, but just biblical books. And so they had a bunch of different Bibles, styles of Bible and looks for the Bible. But the one we know is gold letters, maybe a cross.
Maybe.
And that cross gonna turn people off, or turn people on. No, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Exactly.
I don't know.
You know what used to get me all the time was the bookmark, the little
like, bro, that shit
just came out. I don't know why.
As a kid, I hated that, bro. Like, this is in the way.
That's what always caught my attention as a kid. I'm just like, I never really understood why I was there until I started like actually reading chapter books.
Yes, like, I don't remember where I was.
I just thought it had a tail. Like,
I just thought it was extra fabric, and now I'm judging this book by saying this is kind of whack.
Why does it have a tail?
This is so conflicting for me because I'm a person who works in branding. Mm-hmm. So everything's about how everything appears. Perfect example. I bought this random Bellini drink because of the color of the bottle. I had never tasted it before. I didn't know nothing about the makers, nothing. But the color was this blue. It's like that Tiffany blue. So it was like, okay, this gives prestige. This gives money. This gives, and it ended up being good. But this is like the world that we live in. Everything is about how you're not going to eat a meal that don't look good. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's
you're going
to
look at the
unless you made it.
Unless you go to Waffle House.
Even then, because the salt.
Because nothing on the menu looks good, but I'm still in there anytime I go to Atlanta. So you're right.
Nouveau, I think Nouveau is another beneficiary of judging a book by its cover. When that the drink, because the bottle was beautiful and that drink was useless.
Hypnotic too. If you really think about beautiful. The same color as the bottle I bought is Hypnotic. It's exactly that color.
Beautiful.
Nothing about Hypnotic is prestige. Nothing about it is Tiffany's. Nothing.
Yeah.
But the book was like, oh, that makes me want to drink that. Like, but yeah. So this is just natural. But
got it.
I love this.
I love it. Hey. Ooh, thank you, Mick. Hey, bro. Thank you. All right, y'all. Sit down. All right, so we got one more thing to do. So I pass to the 20 for the
The Dictionary of Misinformation.
Where he at? Do you think we explain it? Mick know the deal. We are 4 episodes in. Do you think do we take care of the new listener? Do we?
What do?
No.
Stop.
Just this is our show.
Okay. So what are we about to do?
It's probably the only show that we don't.
Exactly. I'm not doing it. I was hoping.
Just to say we can. Why not?
Why not? All right. Letter.
Pick a letter.
Pick a letter. I'm gonna go with M.
Let's go. You didn't go with M last time.
Because I don't know what could be under M. So
right.
You know what book I'm glad you didn't judge by its cover, Mario?
The Dictionary of Misinformation.
Okay.
It just does some good.
It definitely does
some good. Wait, what's this? Oh, sorry. There's a lot of M's. I need a couple M's.
Hello? A lot of M's. Same
A lot of M's. All right, let's go with Mercedes Benz. Y'all want to know something about Mercedes Benz?
Please.
Always.
It's kind of probably, let's see. Nobody named Mercedes had anything to do with the production of the Mercedes Benz. Instead, the name is that of the daughter of Emil Jelinek, an Austrian who habitually named his cars for her. In 1900, 3 of his racing cars were called Mercedes. Later, when he induced the Daimler Automotive Works to design a car for him, he again called it Mercedes. When Daimler and Benz firms merged into 1926, they just kept the name. So currently, it's not connected with anything that has to do with Benz, but Mercedes-Benz is actually the name of the daughter of the guy who was a race car, who designed the original one and raced cars, and there was 4 Mercedes. Each car was named Mercedes, and now there's a Mercedes-Benz brand. All right, y'all. We thank you for coming. We thank you for listening. 20. What you got? Leave him with something, bruv.
Hey, listen, man. Never judge a book by its cover. All right? Because you might end up enjoying the book, but always stick to yourself, because your path is just your path.
Ooh, hey, everybody tint their fingers. You can find us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're brought to you by the Unveil Podcast Network. Go check out appraiseThePhrase.com for more of our AT partners content. We got our Raise the Bar initiative for the kiddies, literacy rates, and more fun stuff on appraiseThePhrase.com. You can find us on IG, the Appraise the Phrase Show, on Twitter, the ATP Show, TikTok, Appraise the Phrase. Subscribe, like, do all the things. But as you're doing all those things, please remember that value is in the eye of the appraiser. We will see y'all next week.